Data is the DNA of any business. At National List Services, we focus on one ideal. We offer marketing solutions that fit. We're not interested in selling you data. We're interested in selling you the primary solution to the problem you have today. As a data broker and aggregator, we have access to the top data sets and know where everyone is getting their data from. We identify your demand, the needs of what your customers are, where people are in life, what stages they find themselves in, and their backgrounds that most fit your necessity level. National List Services looks for a long-term solution to what your data needs are, and more importantly, we will educate you on the industry, what to ask other data sources, what to look for, and what to say. Our job is ethics-oriented and getting you what you need right now when it comes to data. Book a call with us today at nationallistservices.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. Audrey here. I hope you are doing well. Thank you for joining us. So today, I should have put a teaser out there. I was going to cover, I did on Instagram. I'm going to cover life events, life changes that happen. I was thinking that Thomas Rhett country song, Life Changes, and what those changes prompt you to do. And so the idea is life events prompting you to consider life insurance, consider full coverage insurance, consider adulting and growing up. So this isn't just for insurance agents, but maybe possibly even realtors. Life events make you sometimes change your living situation. So these are different selects that you could use to exactly target who you're looking for. So I was writing down a few things real quick, my notes, because there's a few different choices. I'm going to stick to some of the basics. There's a few other options too, but I'm going to stick with exactly the basics that I know here. So let me share my screen and we'll get rolling. Hope everybody's start to the new quarter, April 1st, is going well. Thursday. Let me share my screen here. Let's get a window. Here we go. Let's share National List Services. Here we go. So I'm going to push me to the side here, pull this over. So what I'm going to focus on today is the National Consumer List. It's the third one on the top. If you're logged in, you can come in here and access this. I'm going to start with the selects, and then we'll talk about the execution of it. So let me get my worksheet here. I like to have my notes because I get a little lost. I might digress. So to get started, obviously, if you've watched us before, joined us, you know the first place you come into is top tab navigation is on geography. So usually we start here and pick our areas. For right now, I am boring. What I always pick is what I know, and that's my area. Actually, right now, I'm going to pick something a little different. I'll pick Nevada, Utah, Idaho, and let's pick Montana. I'm trying to think what states, Wyoming, maybe Colorado. Do a little upper northwest area. Wyoming, WY. I'm looking at my map. I have my favorite poster in here that I stare at all day, and it's state license plates, and I love it. Okay, let's do those few states. We'll save that. And what I'm going to go to is additional selections. Now, if you've watched me or my quick tips, you know I like to use my search bar. There are over 5,000, probably 6,000 different selects here. So I'm going to use my side search bar here. Always type in something. And if it's not going to pull up with a specific word, try a second one. Try something different. So you can see here, I already looked up engagement. So let's look up engaged, newly engaged. Sometimes you might want to change your, change some of your financial stuff or get things in line or find a lawyer if you're newly engaged. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. Most people I know, there's no prenups going on. So you can type in recently engaged. Let me see. Recently engaged. Here we go. So you can pick a likelihood, 1 to 100. So I would pick, most recently engaged, let's pick 1 to 5 here. Get that top percentage. And see how many people, let's recalculate. Always use the recalculate button. It tells you as you go what's going on. So maybe you have a wedding planning business or photography business, and you want to get customers who are newly engaged. Maybe you're a realtor. You want to offer them a house. Hey, best thing to do when you're newly engaged. The trend now, when I was getting married, we were excited to get our first apartment together. But now the trend is get a house. If you're going to be paying rent, a lot of times you can pay the same for a mortgage and get yourself started, get your feet in, building some credit, building your credit together as a couple. So recently engaged. There's also, let's pull up a few other life events that would make things change. One thing, I'll go a little deep on this. Some people could fall into the same categories. You could be possibly newlyweds and new parents. You could be recently engaged and new parents. So one of the options, if I were to dig deep on this, is to run a search. Hello, Carlotta. I would run a search and then suppress it and run my next one so that I'm keeping my buckets unique only. So if they're in the newlywed bucket, they're also in the new parent bucket. I want to make sure I'm not paying for them twice. So I would suppress each list against each other here in suppression. I'm not going to show that today, but if you go to our video learning center, I'll type that in toward the end at start.nationallistcounts.com. You'll see some videos on how to effectively do that so that you can make sure you're getting your unique audience, not paying for double records. That we don't want you to do that. So that's recently engaged. Let me pull up one of the other things that might change your status is recently divorced. So here is, and it's under the affluent. Let me see if we can get divorced under anything else. I know there's one for separate. Well, that one has separated, doesn't it? Yes. Which is a little bit more tricky. Divorce, there is legal papers, there is proof, there is a end. Separation, things could go back. We would hope for a happy ending. So here's where you could pick newly divorced. This would be also something financial planners, real estate agents, people who are going to help you through a transition to change things. A few more. Let's see who is going to. So there's newly engaged. There's also, let's type in married. So this will pull up a lot. It's going to pull up a lot. Let's see. There we go. So many things. But here at the top, there's a few that are interesting. There is plan to get married. Get married. Let's see if that gives us a what is it. Let's see if it has any more detail. Oh, you can't see my little box. There's a what is it. It ranks the likelihood that someone in the household plans to get married the next 12 months. So that's get married. But let me go back. Let me go back to all of those. I like the one about planning to get married. So that one also within 12 months. Those two both have within 12 months. So that helps you inferred married, marital status. That's definitely something that I know when you're picking homeowners, you definitely want homeowners. If you want somebody who's married, definitely pick married, 100%. We have selections for all those things. We have inferred on some of those things. If it's not for surely known, but you still want to try to reach them and propose your product to them, there you go. We also have new parents. So again, keep using this bar, new parents. This one breaks it down. I like this. This one breaks it down into choices. So I know I've used this before for a pediatric office. They're looking for new customers in their area, and they definitely cater to a certain age group. So this was very helpful because beyond this, we have a child age select. So if it was a higher age, we would use that. But this is new parent. So there'd be only one child in the household and they'd be under 1 year old. So that one is very convenient. This is when in my teaser on Instagram to advertise for today's walkthrough, this is when we decided to get life insurance for me. So I was privileged enough that when I got married to Joel, he had life insurance already. And then I think he upped his policy when the time came. But as we expanded our household, I remember telling him, if something happens to me, you will, no offense to Joel, he's probably going to be watching, no offense. But generally speaking, before I worked full time, I did take care. I take care still of most everything at the home. So I told him, if something happens to me, you're going to need childcare. You're going to need possibly food service. You're going to need laundry service. You're going to need somebody to do a house cleaner. You would have a lot of services, especially just the initial shock if something were to happen to your spouse. You need help. And so that's when we were like, let's look at getting me some life insurance. So those things, these big life events, these big changes prompt changes in your habits, your behaviors, and the responsibility you take, whether it's financially or not. So I want to make sure that for anybody, if your industry would relate to or be affected by these life changes, I want to share that they're here. Now, I mentioned how we're going to execute on this. So you could, all of these records, all of these selections, I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to do new parents. And I'm going to take off the recently engaged. There, we have 34,000 in this bucket. So if I wanted to, let me do an instant breakdown and see per state, instant breakdown. Each of these records that have these new parents on it, it's going to give you, I think I have this set for one per household. Yeah, one per household. That'd be a surname. I could change that to one per address, and I'd probably lower it down a little bit. So here per state, I was going to say, if I was going to focus, let's say on Colorado, 17,000 records. If I wanted to do print and mail, each of these records comes with their name, their address. It may not. I know with children data, it's a little more sensitive. Obviously, as a parent, I would want to protect information too. It may not tell you, well, yes, it does. It breaks it down into buckets. It will not tell you a child's birth date. I'll tell you that. The only date of birth you can select is on adults because it's everywhere. Once you fill out your driver's license, your social security number, it's not out there, but it's connected with your birth date. Once your birth date's out there, we can find you by that. But for children, they are protected. So it'll tell you in the bucket of 6 months or less how many. It will not narrow it down to a specific month, age, or birth date, just so you know. And that's a safety precaution. Protect children, protect parents. So this breaks down how the buckets of ages and by state how many. So if I really wanted to narrow this down, I could eliminate all the other states, and that would give me an accurate count of how many in each child age group I would have. That way I could do a print and mail because, like I said, every record comes with a name and address. If we wanted to add phones, there's a few things. 2 weeks ago, I did a live on Thursday, and I was talking about waivers. And Erica, you can find that on YouTube. That's where you're watching. That was 2 weeks ago. And it was about SANS numbers, which is I'm going to forget what it actually stands for. That allows you, it gives you permission to call within so many area codes. It's free if you're making phone calls for telemarketing efforts. If you want to go nationwide or have so many states that you're licensed in, you can pay a little bit more to have a wider coverage. But you can get, I think, up to 5 area codes for free that you're legally allowed to call in. I can then take that number you get for your organization and order phones. So we could get phones on here, but only people who are they're not on the national do not call list. This is called scrubbed phones. So you and I both know that's a little bit limited. So let me run this and add phones, and let's see how many we got with phones. If we wanted to make telemarketing phone calls. What we can also do, I'm just going to type in telephone. 6,000 selects, y'all. So many. Here we go. Telephone number. No phone is present. Phone is present. Here we go. And these are already scrubbed. So I'm going to add that and recalculate. And let's see what happens to our 38,000. 551. That's because people usually use a wireless phone because look, what's around you all the time? Wireless phone. These are landlines. So they're very high quality, great quality of landlines, but not quantity. So sometimes what we do is, let me see if this lets me do an and or. No, it's going to make me pick only one or the other. So you could get the records with landlines, get all the rest that don't. And what we can do on our side to help you execute this is a phone append. We can append or add wireless phones, assuming you have your SANS number, and we would give you only people that are available to call, not the ones on the national do not call. They don't want you calling, and you're not going to enjoy calling those people. So this is only for residential consumers that you're trying to reach. On the business side, every business wants you to call them. They advertise their phone number. They put it out there. I put mine on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. Text to join. Anybody can text me. So businesses, no problem. We can get your phone numbers on those. Consumer side, little more tricky, but easy to do. I sent Erica, who was on here, hopefully she's still listening, sent her a form to show her if you don't have one, how easy it is to get one. And I'll tell you, within 24 to 48 hours, you can get it back. You just need to take the 5 minutes to go online and go register for it. Super easy. And then you have that, and you can continue with your marketing efforts, making your phone calls and reaching out to people. So I hope this has been insightful, not confusing at all. I would love to hear back from you. If this affects your industry, let me know if this is something that would help you. And I can do a little deeper dive on this if you want. And again, also, I'm going to put it here in the chat. I should always have it ready, but I tend to procrastinate. And that's why I did my morning Instagram moxie about don't procrastinate. I tend to do that, and that's no good. Start.nationallistcounts.com, because we are on nationallistcounts.com. This is the count site where you can go and self-service a division of National List Services. And these learning videos, I show, let me show you file by file how to use our site. So what I did today with a little bit more detail is available there. And it's in order of this homepage. So I go through saturation, auto, consumer. I think we might have it grouped by the consumer are all here together. The business are all here together. That way you can narrow down. Do you need business? Do you need consumer? And based on that, which file do you want to use? Watch that video. Do not go in there and treat it like Netflix and binge watch. That is not going to be helpful. It'll frustrate you, and it'll send me a lot of emails and questions. Hey, Audrey, what about this? Watch what you need. And then when you have further questions, I am here to help. I'm going to put my email in here too, so you have that. Me and the support team work hand in hand. So if it's not me, it'll be our support team. And we will help you fine tune that list to make sure you are getting everything you want. Do you want phones? Did you want emails? On residential, a little bit more tricky, but again, totally doable, and we can help you out with that. So let us know. You know your audience. Let's get that audience, target them the exact way they'll respond. You have to reach them the way they want to be advertised to. So let us know. And if you're not sure, we can definitely consult on that and get some insights to help you out, because you want to make sure you're successful with any marketing efforts you take. So I hope this has helped. Again, we'll do a deeper dive if this is something that would help you to make sure you can reach out, grow your business, and succeed and have a great second quarter. Because like I mentioned, it's April 1st, second quarter of the year. That first one went by really fast. I hope you all enjoyed this today. Let me stop sharing here. Join us again next week. Next week, I'm going to try to line up a guest like we did last week and do a very specific topic that should be interesting and can apply to a lot of different industries. It's going to be industry specific, but the outline, I always like the outline or the skeleton of what we're going to cover applies to a lot of businesses. So join us next week. We're going to talk about the saturation database and the consumer file and when you need which one. So join us next week, Thursday at noon every week. We'll be going over how to use National List Counts with me, Audrey, your data gal. Thanks for joining us.